Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Deal Flow Live. This is the show where we talk all things business transactions. So we talk about how buying and selling businesses works. So if you're looking to buy a business, acquire a business, invest in a business, or potentially sell a business one day, come here to learn about the ins and outs of what we're going through from our personal experience. I've sold a couple businesses, acquired a business recently, and we are just on this journey with you guys. So we're here to talk about it. And today, in particular, we're talking a little bit about Ryan's experience recently finding a great SBA lender to both help educate him in the process, help him find the right routes. And we're going to break down a little bit of the qualities that this person had that made them so great.
For sure. So one of the things that I've learned throughout auditing a number of businesses and reviewing financials and stuff is how important it is to have somebody who properly assesses the businesses. So the way that I managed to find this lender was actually through a broker that we have on the show, Patrick Lang. Obviously, having someone who we know who's in the industry, who's very seasoned and has great people around him is somebody that you always want to find and connect with. And he connected me with this lender who is a part of a larger company that has been doing SBA lending for over 30 years. They actually started as a veterinary lending company, like specifically for veterinary practices, and have since expanded out into multiple disciplines in many different areas, but each one is specialized. So they can do a lot of different ones, but he specifically designated me to a man who does specialized in the HVAC field. So first thing I would say is make sure that the people that you're looking at lender-wise, make sure they're SBA lenders, not just have an SBA lending arm, but preferably an SBA lending base. Secondly, the other important thing is make sure that they actually know what their asset class is, essentially. So speaking to this guy, he's been in the basically in the HVAC division for 10 years, just writing HVAC loans, assessing whether somebody can or can't one, and then going to the SBA and getting them these loans. And the first thing he said off the bat was, what's your risk profile? Essentially, I had to give him the rundown of myself, by a brief action plan and kind of, backgrounds of, debts, income, assets, all that. And the next thing he said is, okay, what is the cash flow of the business that you're looking at? Which leads me to that second point of knowing the business that you're lending for. HVAC doesn't have a lot of assets. It's very lean on the actual inventory, as you know very well, Brody, and it all depends on how much cash you got flowing in. So when lenders are looking to lend, they are looking for a strong cash flow that should their models, when they run models against it and saying, okay, in a worst case scenario with X, Y, and Z on a down year, can this cash flow at least make up the loan? That's a big part of what they're going to look at when they're lending to you. Is not just, are you lendable, but is this business lendable? So something that we ran into the first time we did SBA was just them being like, you don't have the cash on yourself, we're not going to lend to you, which seemingly defeated the purpose. And the third aspect was the fact that they were very willing to work with me, essentially, not in the sense of like, oh, you're not perfect, but we'll work with you, but in the sense of they were like, send us deals. Let us look over the stuff with you. We'll give you, a heads up if we think this will even get passed or not. So the willingness to be there in the process, review the deals with me, give me their feedback on whether I should pursue this or not from their perspective, to really eliminate the time wasting and the kind of wheel spinning that happens a lot of times. Notoriously, we did a show where we talked about the awful situation that we had with an SBA lender where it actually cost us money to even talk to them, whereas this was a very free conversation of, look, I make money by getting people loans for responsible businesses, and you're going to make money from a responsible business, so we've got to work together on this. So I think that's really what you're looking for with a lender, is somebody who is getting connected through the right channels, somebody who lives, eats, and breathes the SBA and industry that you're in, and somebody who wants to basically almost team up and work with you on it. That's really your big three takeaways for lenders.
You kind of mentioned it in there. The fourth that I would add, though, to kind of bring it back to it, is the specific industry expertise. You mentioned earlier, like coming through the right channels. This came through someone that we know who's a very specific focus on the HVAC industry. So this lender that they work with has had deep experience in that particular industry of HVAC, which is the deals that you're mostly focused on right now. So they could give you very specific information about the HVAC industry. There's going to be examples like this in whatever industry you're looking to acquire a business in. But an example in this case was he could tell you, if you find one that's mostly new construction, we're probably not going to be able to lend on it just because of the risk profile in the market that we're in. So having those kinds of insights like that can really help, because that informs what kind of business you're looking to find. It's actually going to probably help you find a business that's better equipped in general to run and make cash flow, because they're lending based on what they're seeing from the top of the market coming down. So to kind of sum up those major points again, coming through the right channels. If you can find a lender that's coming directly from a very experienced deal maker, whether that's a business broker, whether that's say a private equity firm, or whether that's someone who's just been an investor in the space for a while, who's ideally done deals with them, I would say that's the big qualification. If it's coming from as a referral from someone who's done deals with this person before successfully, that's a big point. If they have the specific SBA experience and focus, because I've been through talking to potential lenders before where they were just, a lot of times they'll pose themselves as an SBA lender, and they actually are just someone who has like a mortgage lending business that works for a mortgage lending business. And they're like, oh yeah, we do. Like, we get into the conversation. They're like, yeah, we have a guy that does those. I think he works on those. And you just know that you're not going to get very far because they don't have that deep experience. You want to avoid going a mile wide and an inch deep. And then the third thing is the willingness to work with your situation, to educate along the process, and not just say, hey, if you check these boxes immediately, I can move forward with this conversation. But someone who's willing to kind of work with you. That's something that we've seen both with the broker that we had on the show, Patrick, and with this lender, both just getting a lot of deals done because of their willingness to kind of work through the process. And then that specific industry experience. If you have those four things as a lender, I think that's someone that you could probably get a deal done with.
Yeah, they have an equal commitment to you as the buyer, making sure that you are not only the right person, both financially and mentally, but they're also committed to the business that they're lending to, making sure that it actually is what it is. So I think that sort of commitment to the whole process is why Patrick has so much success, and this gentleman, Justin, has so much success, which hopefully we'll have him on the podcast to talk about his experiences and kind of how he sees the space. And just kind of wrap it up, I think it's important to talk to lenders that are experienced, because they will see the landscape before anyone else will. Because they see the applications coming in, they see the changes, they see the shifts in the market probably well before anybody else does. So when they say we're lending this, not as much this, that should tell you where everybody else is going and how the field is changing. So that's also a very important thing to pick up on.
And they're getting the reasons why policies are changing. The elephant in the room here is the SBA lending environment has dramatically changed this year for the worse if you're trying to get one. So you need to have good information and be able to navigate that landscape if you're trying to get one. It's harder and harder seemingly as the days go on.
Yeah.
So having someone that is willing to work with you means they're going to share information about, here's why these changes are coming. We're not investing in the HVAC space, right? We're not investing in new construction because the housing market is slowing down. That's what we're hearing, right? That's the information that we're kind of seeing from the top. They're going to be able to double click into that information with you and give you kind of a good understanding of what landscape you're looking at getting into business into. And, getting as many angles of information as you can, even if it's with someone who isn't the exact same incentives as you. Just getting those different perspectives and angles into what business you're getting into is going to help you make a more informed decision.
For sure. Final note for everybody out there who's looking at commercial businesses and is kind of wondering whether or not that is the right path to go. While yes, there is more volatility in it, and new build construction tends to be, depending on where you're living at the moment, could be slowing or kind of, ramping up, slowing down, markets on markets. Remember, commercial doesn't mean new builds. Commercial is anything non-residential. So that's buildings, that's established stuff. So a good deal or something that looks like it's pretty well established, just because it says a commercial business, doesn't mean you should run away from it. So
sure.
I think that's a good point to make, especially when it comes to like fire inspection stuff. If you find a good one, those are pretty reliable businesses, and we've seen actually a lot of people come through and talk about them, and yeah, people do very well with them if they're structured correctly.
And if you find a good one, send it to us.
Oh, for sure. We're always looking.
We don't say that enough on the show, but if you find good deals, send them to us. Even if it's just to help you review them, or maybe if it's a deal that you're passing on for whatever reason, but you think we might be interested in, send it to us. We'll review it. Maybe we'll make a move on it. Maybe we'll help you with it. But until next time, see you on Deal Flow Live every Tuesday night, right around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, depending on whether I get stuck in traffic or not.
Always depending on whether you get stuck in traffic or not.
But we'll see y'all on the next one. Take care.